Captain Ellie Bennett stood tall on the bridge of the exploration vessel Horizon as it approached the massive Galactic Council space station. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and her blue uniform fit perfectly. She took a deep breath. This was a historic moment for humanity. First contact with the Galactic Council had happened 6 months ago, but this was the first formal meeting between humans and the many alien species that made up the Council. "Docking sequence complete, Captain," said Officer Joe Mason from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the glowing control panel. "Thank you, Officer Mason," Ellie replied. She turned to her second-in-command. "Commander Steve Harris, prepare the diplomatic team. It's time." Steve nodded. He was a serious man with a strong jaw and kind eyes. "The team is ready, Captain. Dr. Wright is particularly eager to meet the aliens." Ellie smiled slightly. Dr. Paul Wright was their chief xenobiologist, an expert in alien life forms. He had been studying the limited data they had on the Council. Species for months. The diplomatic team gathered in the ship's main airlock. Besides Ellie and Steve, there was Dr. Wright, Security Chief Frank Martinez, and Communications Officer Samantha Lee. They wore their best uniforms, with the Earth United Government patch on their shoulders. "Remember," Ellie said to her team, "we represent all of humanity today. Let's make a good impression." The airlock door slid open with a soft hiss. On the other side stood the alien welcome party. Ellie had seen images of the Vozarians before, but seeing them in person was different. They were tall and slender, with skin that seemed to shift colors like an octopus. Right now, their skin showed patterns of blue and green. Their large eyes had multiple facets, like those of an insect, and they moved with a grace that seemed almost like dancing. "Greetings, humans of Earth," said the lead alien. His voice was musical, with an accent that made the translator in Ellie's ear work hard. "I am Zifal, Chief Diplomat of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to Harmony Station." "Thank you, Diplomat Zifal," Ellie replied with a small bow. "I am Captain Ellie Bennett of the Earth vessel Horizon. We are honored to be welcomed by the Galactic Council." The aliens led them through wide, curved hallways. Ellie noticed that there were no sharp corners anywhere. Everything was open, with multiple exits from each area. It seemed designed so that nothing could be trapped. The main meeting room was a large, circular chamber with a round table in the center. Representatives from at least 12 different alien species sat around it. Each looked very different, but Ellie noticed some similarities. They all had large eyes positioned on the sides of their heads. They all moved with that same nervous grace as the Vos Arians. As the human team took their seats, Ellie saw how the aliens watched them. There was curiosity there, but something else too. Something that looked like fear. Dr. Wright leaned close to her and whispered, "Have you noticed their eyes? All on the sides of their heads, like prey animals on Earth." Ellie gave a small nod. She had noticed it too. The meeting began with formal introductions of each species. There were the Vozarians, the insect-like Tellarites, the furry Moxians, and many others. Each had joined the Galactic Council at different times over the past 1,000 years. When it was their turn, Ellie stood and spoke clearly. "We are humans from the planet Earth. We come seeking peaceful relations and the exchange of knowledge and culture." As she spoke, she noticed the slight flinches from the aliens when she moved her hands. They kept a careful distance, and their eyes never stopped moving, always watching. The meeting continued with discussions of trade, technology sharing, and the rules of the Council. Throughout it all, that strange tension remained. After several hours, there was a break. As the aliens moved to a refreshment area, Dr. Wright pulled Ellie, Steve, and Frank into a quiet corner. "Something's not right," he said quietly. "They're afraid of us, all of them." Frank frowned. "Why would they be afraid? We're clearly outnumbered, and this is their station." "I'm not sure," Dr. Wright replied. "But look at their biology. Every species we've met today has evolved from what we would call prey animals on Earth. Their eyes are on the sides of their heads for wide vision to spot danger. They move quickly and are always watching for threats. Even their station is designed for easy escape routes. Samantha joined them, her face serious. I've been monitoring their communication patterns. They're using subsonic frequencies we weren't meant to hear. They keep referring to us with a term that translates roughly as the Watching Ones or the Hunters. Ellie considered this information carefully. Let's not jump to conclusions. We need more data. The meeting resumed, but Ellie watched more carefully now. She noticed how the aliens organized themselves, always in groups. How they communicated with small movements that seemed almost like a flock of birds responding to danger that evening. Back on the horizon, Ellie received a private transmission. From Earth, Admiral Greg Summers appeared on her screen, his face grave. "Captain Bennett," he said, "I have received your preliminary report. Our analysts have made an important discovery that you need to know." Ellie sat straighter. "What is it, Admiral?" "We've analyzed the biological data from all 27 species in the Galactic Council. Every single one evolved from prey animals on their home planets. Their societies, their psychology, their technology, all developed from species that were hunted, not hunters." Ellie felt a chill. "And humans?" Admiral Summers' expression was grim. "We evolved from predators, Captain. Forward-facing eyes for hunting, teeth for tearing meat. Bodies built for pursuit over long distances. We're the only predator species they've ever encountered at their technological level." "That explains their fear," Ellie said softly. "Yes, and it gets worse. We've intercepted some of their internal communications. Some factions in the Council are calling for Earth to be quarantined. They see us as inherently dangerous." Ellie thought about the aliens she had met today. Their caution now made sense. They weren't just meeting a new species. They were meeting something their deepest instincts told them to fear. "What are my orders, Admiral?" "Continue the diplomatic mission, but be aware of this dynamic. We need to show them that our predator heritage doesn't make us a threat. If anything, it can make us valuable allies. Predators don't just hunt, Captain. They also protect their own." After the transmission ended, Ellie stood at the viewport of her quarters, looking out at the massive space station. Somewhere in there, beings who had evolved to fear creatures like her were deciding humanity's place in the galaxy. Tomorrow would be challenging, but perhaps being different wasn't a weakness. Perhaps it was humanity's greatest strength. She straightened her uniform and prepared to meet the challenge ahead. 3 weeks had passed since the Horizon docked at Harmony Station. The human team worked hard to build trust with the alien species, but progress was slow. Dr. Paul Wright spent most of his time in the ship's lab, studying the data they had. Gathered about the council races. Captain Ellie Bennett entered the lab to find Paul staring at holographic displays of alien anatomy. Security Chief Frank Martinez stood beside him, arms crossed and face serious. "What have you found?" Ellie asked. Paul gestured at the displays. "It's in everything they do, Captain. Their entire biology is built around not being eaten." He pointed to diagrams of various alien species, side-facing eyes for wide vision, multiple escape routes in all their buildings. Even their decision-making is based on group consensus, like flocks of birds or schools of fish. Frank shook his head. "So they're careful. What's the big deal?" "The problem," Paul replied, "is that they're starting to see how different we are." He pulled up an image of a human skeleton next to a Vazarian skeleton. "Look at our teeth, designed for tearing meat. Our eyes, facing forward for hunting. Bodies built for chasing prey over long distances. Everything about us screams predator to them." Ellie studied the images. The differences were clear when shown this way. "Are you saying they see us as dangerous?" "They're afraid of us, Captain. They try to hide it, but it's there in how they act around us. The way they never turn their backs. How they always keep a safe distance." Communications Officer Samantha Lee entered the lab, looking worried. "Captain, I've been monitoring the encrypted channels again. There's increased chatter about humans. They're discussing something called the Predator Contingency Protocol. I can't decode all of it, but it sounds like some kind of containment plan." Ellie felt a chill. "Are they planning to trap us here?" "I don't know," Samantha admitted. "But The message traffic increased after yesterday's biology exchange session. Yesterday's meeting had been a cultural exchange about the evolutionary history of each species. The human scientists had openly shared how humans had evolved from pack-hunting apes. They thought it was just scientific information. Now Ellie wondered if it had been a mistake. Set alert level 2, Ellie ordered. Keep it quiet. I don't want to alarm anyone or make the council think we're preparing for conflict. Frank nodded. I'll have my security team ready, but subtle. Later that day, Ellie met with Diplomat Zithal in one of the station's garden areas. The space was beautiful, with plants from many worlds growing together. Ellie noticed that all the plants were low, with no places where something could hide. Your station is impressive, Ellie said as they walked. 27 species living and working together peacefully. Zithal's skin rippled with blue and green patterns. Harmony is our greatest achievement. The Council has prevented war between member species for over 1,000 years. Earth would be honored to join such a peaceful organization, Ellie said. Carefully, Zithal stopped walking. His large eyes studied her. Would it, Captain? Peace requires certain qualities: patience, caution, the willingness to flee rather than fight when needed. Humans understand peace, Diplomat. We've had our share of wars, but we've learned from them. Have you? Zithal's skin darkened. Your history is filled with conquest. Your games celebrate hunting and catching. Even your languages are full of predator terms. You talk of capturing ideas and hunting for solutions. Ellie felt uncomfortable. She had never thought about how human language reflected their predator past. We've evolved beyond our biology, she said. Just as your people have we? Zithal looked away. Biology shapes everything, Captain. The Council species evolved by running and hiding from danger. Your kind evolved by chasing and killing. These are deep patterns written in our very cells. Before Ellie could respond, her communicator beeped. Excuse me, she said, stepping away to answer it. Steve's voice came through, tense and quick. Captain, you need to return to the ship. Now, what's happened? The Council just called an emergency session. We weren't invited, but Samantha picked up the announcement on their channels. It's about humans. Ellie looked back at Zithal, who was watching her with those large, wary eyes. I'll be right there. Back on the horizon, the senior staff gathered in the command center. The mood was tense. They're afraid of us, Ellie told her team. Not because of anything we've done, but because of what we are. That's ridiculous, Frank said. We've been nothing but peaceful, Dr. Nicole Foster, the ship's anthropologist, spoke up. It's not ridiculous to them, Chief Martinez. For these species, predators aren't just dangerous, they're the stuff of nightmares. Imagine if we met aliens who look like giant spiders or sharks. Our instincts would tell us to be afraid, even if they were friendly. So what do? Steve asked. We can't change our biology. Ellie thought for a moment. No, but we can change how they see us. Our predator traits aren't just for hunting. They're also for protecting our pack. We need to show them that humans can be guardians, not just hunters. Samantha, who had been monitoring the Council channels, looked up from her station. Captain, I'm picking up a new directive from the Council. They've created a new classification for Earth, protected observer species. What does that mean? Frank asked. It means, Ellie said grimly, that they're going to isolate us. Allow us to observe the galactic community but not fully join it. Keep us contained to our own solar system. The room fell silent as they all understood what this meant. Humanity was being caged. This isn't right, Steve finally said. They can't judge an entire species based on evolutionary history. They're acting from fear, Nicole said. Fear isn't rational. Ellie looked around at her crew. They were the first humans to make contact with the galactic community, and now they might be the last if the Council had its way. We need to change. Their minds, she said firmly, and we won't do it with words. They need to see humans in action, see that our predator instincts can be a force for good. How do we do that? Frank asked. They're already pulling away from us. Ellie didn't have an answer yet. But she knew that somewhere, somehow, there would be a chance to show the Council the truth about humans. They weren't just predators. They were protectors too. As if answering her thoughts, the ship's alarm suddenly blared. "Emergency signal from the station," Samantha called out, her voice rising with urgency. "They're reporting a major systems failure." "In their life support hub," Ellie straightened. This was the chance they needed. "Prepare emergency teams," she ordered. "We're going to help them." Frank looked concerned. "Captain, they might see this as an invasion." "Then we make sure they see what it really is," Ellie replied. "A rescue mission." Alarms blared throughout Harmony Station as the life support systems failed in the central hub. The aliens ran in panic, their instincts taking over. They moved in groups like startled birds, rushing toward escape pods and safe zones. "Captain." Ellie Bennett led her emergency team from the horizon into the chaos. She wore an environmental suit with the Earth logo on the shoulder. Behind her came Security Chief Frank Martinez, Dr. Paul Wright, and 12 crew members with emergency equipment. "Stay focused," Ellie ordered through the suit's comm system. "Our mission is to save lives and fix the life support system. Show them what humans do in a crisis." The human team moved with calm purpose through the panicking aliens. Where the Council species scattered in fear, the humans moved directly toward the danger. Years of training and thousands of generations of predator instincts guided them. "Life support control is this way," Paul said, checking his scanner. "Oxygen levels are dropping fast in sectors 4 through 7. As they approached the central hub, they found a group of Tellarites huddled near a sealed door. The insect-like aliens shivered in fear, their compound eyes darting around. "What happened?" Ellie asked them. One Tellarite stepped forward nervously. "Control room malfunction. Many technicians trapped inside. Air vents shut down. No one can reach override controls." Frank examined the sealed door. "We can cut through this." The Tellarites backed away as Frank used a laser cutter on the door. Their mandibles clicked in alarm. "They're afraid of our tools," Paul whispered to Ellie. "Everything we do seems aggressive to them." "Can't be helped," Ellie replied. "We need to get those people out." The door fell open with a loud clang. Inside, 3 Vozarian technicians lay on the floor, struggling to breathe in the thin air. Toxic gas filled the room, leaking from a damaged pipe. "Get them out," Ellie ordered. "Paul, Frank, with me. We need to reach the main controls." 2 human crew members gently lifted the Vozarians and carried them to safety. The alien skin flickered weakly with pale colors of distress. Ellie and her team pushed deeper into the control room, their suit filters working hard against the toxic gas. At the main control panel, Paul quickly assessed the damage. "The primary cooling system failed," he said. "It triggered an emergency shutdown of the air circulation. And look at this." He pointed to a damaged section of the panel. "Someone tried to fix it and made it worse. They panicked." "Can you restore it?" Ellie asked. Paul nodded. "Yes, but I'll need to manually restart each system. It will take time." "Do it," Ellie said. She activated her comm link to the rest of the human teams. "Status report." "Team 2 here," came the reply. "We've evacuated 53 council members from Sector 5. Oxygen levels critical but holding." "Team 3, we've secured the secondary life support hub. Beginning manual restart now." Across the station, the human emergency teams worked with calm efficiency. They didn't run, they didn't panic. They assessed each situation and solved it step by step. It was the steady approach of a hunter tracking prey, now turned to saving lives. Meanwhile, in the station's emergency command center, Diplomat Zithal watched the humans on security monitors. His skin swirled with confused colors. "They moved directly toward danger," he said to the other council leaders. "Not away from it," an elder Moxion, her fur gray with age, nodded slowly. "It is their predator nature. They do not flee threats. They face them, but why help us?" asked the Tellarite representative. "We just voted to isolate their planet." No one had an answer. Back in the life support control room, Paul worked steadily on the damaged systems. His hands moved with precise purpose, fixing one connection after another. Main coolant restored, he announced. Beginning air circulation restart. Suddenly, a secondary pipe burst, spraying toxic coolant. Frank instantly pushed Paul out of the way, taking the spray on his suit. The protective material sizzled under the chemical assault. "Frank!" Ellie shouted, pulling him back. "I'm okay," Frank said, checking his suit for breaches. The outer layer took most of it. Paul looked shocked. "You could have been seriously injured," Frank shrugged. "Better me than you. You're the one who can fix this mess." Ellie felt a presence behind them. She turned to see a Vazarian watching from the doorway. The alien had witnessed Frank's protective action. "Continue the repairs," Ellie told Paul. She approached the Vazarian. "Is there something you need?" The Vazarian's skin showed a pattern Ellie had never seen before, purple mixed with gold. "You protect each other?" it said simply. "Of course," Ellie replied. "We're a team." "But you are predators." Ellie understood then. "Yes, we evolved from predators. But predators don't just hunt. They defend their pack, their territory, those under their protection." The Vazarian seemed to consider this. Without another word, it turned and left. Over the next 6 hours, the human teams worked throughout the station. They fixed damaged systems, rescued trapped aliens, and restored life support section by section. While the council species struggled with their instinctive panic responses, the humans remained focused and determined. In the medical bay, Dr. Nicole Foster treated injured aliens alongside the station's medical staff. Her calm presence reassured the frightened patients. "Your heart rate is much slower than ours," observed a young Moxion as Nicole bandaged its arm. Nicole smiled. "Humans are persistence predators. Our bodies are designed for steady effort over long periods. We don't tire easily. Is that why you're not afraid?" "We feel fear," Nicole explained, "but we're trained to work through it. To use it rather than let it use us." The Moxian considered this. "That is very strange, very predator." By the time the crisis was contained, the humans had saved hundreds of lives. The station systems were back online, and the emergency was over. Ellie gathered her team back on the horizon for debriefing. They were tired but satisfied. "Good work, everyone," she said proudly. "You showed the council what humans are really like. Do you think it will change anything?" Steve asked. "Will they still try to isolate Earth?" "I don't know," Ellie admitted. "But they've seen us now, really seen us. Not just as predators, but as protectors." As if in answer to her question, a message came through from the station. Diplomat Zithal requested an urgent meeting with Captain Bennett. "It seems we made an impression," Ellie said. She looked around at her tired crew. Today, they had proven that humanity's predator instincts could be a force for good. The hunt could become a rescue. The chase could become a mission of mercy. The pack mentality could become team cooperation. Maybe, just maybe, the council would begin to understand that being different wasn't something to fear. It was something to value. Captain Ellie Bennett walked alone to meet with Diplomat Zithal. The hallways of Harmony Station were quiet now, the emergency contained. Repair teams worked to fix the remaining damage, and many of them nodded respectfully to Ellie as she passed. Word had spread quickly about what the humans had done. Zithal waited in a small meeting room. His skin showed a mix of colors that Ellie had never seen before, deep purple with flecks of gold. "Thank you for coming, Captain Bennett," the diplomat said as Ellie entered. "Of course," Ellie replied, taking a seat across from him. She noticed he didn't back away from her as much as before. "The council has been in emergency session for the past 2 hours," Zithal began. "We have been discussing the events of today and what they mean for human-council relations." Ellie waited patiently. She had learned that the council species often took time to reach their points. "Your people saved many lives today," Zithal continued. "When our people ran from danger, yours ran toward it. This is not something we understand easily. It's how we're built," Ellie explained. "Humans evolved to face threats, not flee from them. Yes, your predator nature." Zithal's skin rippled. "We feared this about you. We saw only the danger, not the potential benefit. And now?" "Now we are confused," Zethal admitted. Our history teaches us that predators are to be feared, yet today your predator instincts saved us. The Council is struggling with this contradiction. Before Ellie could respond, the door opened. A group of Council representatives entered, one from each major species. They looked at Ellie with a mix of caution and curiosity. An elder Moxian stepped forward, her gray fur neatly groomed. I am Elder Lox. I speak for the Council in this matter. She sat down slowly, her large eyes fixed on Ellie. We have reviewed the security recordings of your people's actions during the crisis. They were most illuminating. Ellie nodded but remained silent. We saw how your security chief placed himself in danger to protect your scientist, Elder Lox continued. We saw how your medical team treated our injured with care and respect. We saw how your engineers worked tirelessly to restore our systems. What humans do, Ellie said simply. We protect our own and those who need our help. A Tellarite representative clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. This behavior does not match our understanding of predator species. In our evolutionary history, predators take, they do not give. Human evolution followed a different path, Ellie explained. We became social predators. Our strength comes from working together, from protecting our group. Yes, we hunt, but we also defend. The Council members exchanged glances. Ellie could see they were struggling with this concept. The Council has decided to reconsider Earth's status, Elder Lox finally said. The classification of protected observer species will be suspended pending further evaluation. It wasn't everything Ellie had hoped for, but it was a start. Think. You, Elder, Earth appreciates this reconsideration. There is more, Zethal added. The Council wishes to propose a new arrangement. We face many dangers in the galaxy: pirates, natural disasters, resource shortages. Our species evolved to avoid danger, to hide from it. But sometimes hiding is not enough. Ellie began to understand where this was going. You want humans to help protect the Council. We propose a guardian status for Earth, Elder Lox said carefully. Your people would help defend Council interests, and in return, you would have full access to Council technology and resources. It was a clever arrangement. The Council would use humanity's predator instincts to their advantage while keeping humans occupied with external threats rather than internal Council matters. I'll need to discuss this with my government, Ellie said. But I believe Earth would be interested in such an arrangement as long as we have an equal voice in Council decisions. The meeting continued for several hours as they discussed the details of this potential new relationship. When it finally ended, Ellie returned to the horizon to brief her crew. They're still afraid of us, Frank said after hearing Ellie's report. They just want to point us at other threats. Maybe, Steve admitted, but it's a start. They're beginning to see value in our differences. Dr. Nicole Foster nodded thoughtfully. It's fascinating how quickly they've adapted their approach. Instead of isolating the predator, they're trying to make us part of their pack, but on their terms. The question is, Paul added, is this good for Earth? Do we want to be the Council's guard dogs? Ellie considered this. I think we can be more than that. If we prove ourselves as protectors first, we can earn their trust. Once they truly understand us, we can become full partners. Later that evening, Ellie sent her report to Admiral Summers back on Earth. She included her personal recommendation that Earth accept the Guardian status as a first step toward full Council membership. As she waited for a response, she walked to the horizon's observation DK. Through the large viewport, she could see the massive structure of Harmony Station against the backdrop of stars. Somewhere out there were other worlds, other species, all evolved from prey animals, old building societies based on caution and consensus. And then there was Earth, the predator planet. Different in fundamental ways that went beyond biology to shape culture, technology, and thought itself. The Admiral's response came just before ship's midnight. Earth had agreed to the Guardian status with conditions. Humans would serve as protectors for the Council, but they would also have representation in all Council decisions. It was a compromise that both sides could accept. The next morning, Ellie met again with the council representatives to finalize the agreement. As they worked through the details, she noticed a subtle change in how the aliens behaved around her. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something new: respect. "There's one more thing," Elder Locke said as the meeting concluded. "We have created a new term for your species in the official council records. You will be listed as a protector species, the first such classification in council history," Ellie smiled. "We are honored by this recognition." As she left the council chamber, Zithal fell into step beside her. His skin now showed calm blues with streaks of purple. "Your people have changed how we see predators," he said quietly. "This is not a small thing, Captain Bennett. For thousands of years, our species have feared the hunter. Now we begin to see that the hunter can also be the guardian." "That's what humans have always been," Ellie replied. "Hunters and guardians both. It's not a contradiction, it's who we are." The human and the alien walked together through the station, different in almost every way yet beginning to understand each other. It was a small step, but an important one. The predator and the prey, walking side by side toward a future neither could have imagined alone. 6 months had passed since the emergency on Harmony Station. The Horizon had returned to Earth with the historic Guardian Status Agreement, and now a permanent human delegation worked on the station. Captain Ellie Bennett had been promoted to Admiral and served as Earth's first official representative to the Galactic Council. Today was a special day. The first joint Human Council Defense Fleet was being launched. Ellie stood at the viewing window of the council chamber, watching as the ships gathered in formation. 5 large council vessels floated alongside 3 smaller but more powerful Earth ships. They looked different in design, the council ships round and open, built for quick escape if needed, while the Earth vessels were sleek and focused, like arrows ready to fly. "They look good together," said a voice beside her. Ellie turned to see Zithal. Over the past months, the Vozarian diplomat had become something close to a friend. He still showed signs of caution around humans, but there was trust there now too. "Yes, they do," Ellie agreed. "Different, but complementary. The Council Defense Committee reports that pirate attacks have decreased by 60% since the joint patrols began," Zithal said. "Your people have proven to be very effective guardians." Ellie smiled. "Humans have always been good at protecting what we care about." The main doors opened and the rest of the council members entered for the day's session. Ellie took her seat at the large round table. As Earth's representative, she now had full voting rights on all council matters. It had taken time and trust to earn this position. Elder Locke called the meeting to order. The old Moxian had become a strong supporter of the Human Council partnership. "Today we will hear reports from the joint science team studying the Rigel system. But first, a special announcement." Ellie sat up straighter. "This wasn't on the agenda. For the first time in council history," Elder Locke continued, "we have invited a non-member species to join the Guardian program. Representatives from Nexus Prime will arrive tomorrow to discuss their potential inclusion." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Nexus Prime was a newly discovered world with a civilization that had just achieved space travel. Ellie had read the reports. They were mammalian beings with strong pack structures, and notably, they too had evolved from predator stock. "This is your influence," Zithal whispered to Ellie. 6 months ago, the council would never have considered bringing another predator species into our community. The meeting continued, with various reports and votes. Afterward, Ellie met with the human staff stationed on Harmony. Dr. Paul Wright had stayed on as chief xenobiologist, and Dr. Nicole Foster continued her cultural exchange work. They gathered in the human section of the station, a place designed with Earth aesthetic corners and angles that made council visitors nervous but felt like home to the humans. "Another predator species," Nicole said excitedly. "This could change everything." "The council is beginning to see the value in diversity." Paul nodded. "The Nexus Prime biology reports show they evolved from pack hunters, similar to wolves on Earth. They have strong family bonds and territorial instincts." "Perfect candidates for guardian status," Ellie said. Frank Martinez. who now led the human security forces on the station, looked thoughtful. It's starting to look like the Council needs us more than they want to admit. Their prey instincts serve them well for building peaceful societies, but they struggle with defense and crisis response. It's about balance, Nicole suggested. Prey species are good at cooperation, resource management, and long-term planning. Predator species excel at protection, crisis management, and decisive action. Together we're stronger than either would be alone. The next day, Ellie stood with the Council greeting party as the ship from Nexus Prime docked at the station. There was tension in the air. Many Council members still felt nervous about welcoming another predator species into their midst. The airlock door opened. The Nexians were tall, covered in short gray fur with distinctive facial markings. Their eyes faced forward like human eyes, and they moved with the confident grace of natural hunters. But what struck Ellie most was how they stayed close together, always aware of each other's positions. Pack animals, just like humans in their own way, the lead Nexian stepped forward and bowed slightly. I am Speaker Trowell of Nexus Prime. We are honored by your invitation. Elder Lox performed the formal welcome. As the official greetings continued, Ellie studied the Nexians. They were clearly uncomfortable with the large open spaces of the station and kept looking around as if expecting threats from the corners. But they were making an effort to appear non-threatening to the Council species. Later, Ellie had a private meeting with Speaker Trowell. The Nexian seemed relieved to speak with another predator species. Your people paved the way for us, Trowell said. When we first detected the Council signals, we feared they would reject us once they understood our biology. They almost did reject humans, Ellie admitted. It took a crisis for them to see our value. Trowell nodded. On our world, we have a saying, the strength of the pack is not in its teeth, but in its bonds. We learned long ago that our predator instincts must be channeled toward protection, not domination. Humans learned the same lesson, Ellie said, though it took us longer than we'd like to admit. The two predator representatives shared a moment of understanding. Though from different worlds, they recognized something familiar in each other, the hunter's focus. The pack loyalty, the drive to protect. Over the next week, negotiations proceeded for Nexus Prime to join the Guardian program. The Council was cautious but open. The success of the human partnership had shown them that predator species could be valuable allies. On the final day of negotiations, Elder Lox invited Ellie to speak to the full Council. She stood before the gathered representatives of 27 prey species and one fellow predator species. 6 months ago, she began, the Council saw humans as a potential threat because of our predator origins. Today, we stand as partners and protectors. Tomorrow, the Nexians may join us in this role. This is progress that benefits us all. She looked around the chamber, meeting the large, wary eyes of the various species. The galaxy needs both prey, wisdom, and predator strength. Your species evolved caution, consensus, and cooperation. Ours evolved courage, protection, and decisive action. Together we are not just stronger, we are more complete. As she finished speaking, Ellie saw the Council members exchange glances. There was still caution there, still instinctive wariness. But there was also growing acceptance. That evening, Ellie stood again at the viewing window, watching the stars. Zithal joined her, his skin showing calm blue patterns. Your words today were wise, he said. The Council is changing slowly, but surely. We begin to see that diversity of evolutionary paths can be a strength, not a weakness. It will take time, Ellie acknowledged. Instincts run deep. Yes, Zithal agreed. But reason can guide instinct. That is the true mark of an advanced species, whether prey or predator. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the ships move against the backdrop of stars. Different species from different worlds, shaped by different evolutionary paths, yet finding common ground. The predator and the prey, learning that together they could build something greater than either could alone.